is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break!
With Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Wednesday, August 7th, 2019, Season 15, Episode number 22. Welcome to latest edition of The Break. We're live from Oxnard, California. Cowboys are, as you can see behind us, starting their walkthrough. It's a little early for their walkthrough.
They're doing something awesome.
Yeah.
Like, this is the good stuff, which,
Flea
like,
flickers?
Jason Garrett probably doesn't want us looking back there, but
Yeah, so don't look.
it looks like they're meeting.
Stop looking, Amber.
They're meeting early to go over some finer points, and I would give
Can't stop
anything.
me.
I'd give anything to just be able to listen to it.
It's probably good stuff. But they have their walkthrough this morning. They'll be back on the field this afternoon for their normal practice at 3:30 out here Pacific time. For those of you that are in the area, if you want to come out and you're in the area, you only got a few more days. There's a practice today and tomorrow. Tomorrow's practice actually is in the morning. I think it's going to be at 10:30. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then there won't be another practice until next Monday, and they'll have practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, another morning practice on Thursday, and then we're out.
It's
we're heading to Hawaii.
already. It happens like that. One
Yeah.
day it seems like it's never going to end, and then the next day
you're packing up.
Packing up.
So we got a lot of things we want to hit today. We're going to talk about some injuries. One big injury that happened yesterday for the Cowboys. We'll also we'll play a little bit of game, a little game called Tell Me More. I got some guys that are under the radar kind of guys. I keep getting, as I'm sure you guys, I get these messages on Twitter. Tell me something about this guy or this guy. So I picked out a couple names of guys that we haven't really talked a lot about, and we'll go around and let you guys give some scouting reports on what you've seen from those guys throughout these practices here in Oxnard. Before we get, though, to that, I want to talk a little bit about a Deep Blue special that we got coming out today. For those of you guys that may not have seen it, we have a documentary we'll be launching today at 3 p.m. Central Time. That's 1 p.m. Pacific, called Welcome to Switzerland. It was a documentary put together by Rob Phillips and Kent Garrison, and details Barry Switzer's time with the Dallas Cowboys. Really, really interesting story. As you may know from the Deep Blue documentaries that we do, I think they're all pretty good. But it just goes a little deeper, tells you the deeper story from the guys who lived it. And so that's going to launch today. Make sure you check it out. If you can't catch it live, you'll be able to watch it on demand later on our website, on our mobile app, as well as on our connected TV app on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. All right, so let's jump in. Let's jump first on these injuries. Catch us up to speed on what's happening with injuries. Obviously, Robert Quinn goes out yesterday with a fractured hand. What have we heard about that injury?
He's going to require surgery. I think it's going to be back in Dallas. And it's going to – I mean, he'll probably be able to play for the first game, but it'll be, wrapped up or club or whatever. I mean, those injuries, typically it's you could play maybe the next – depending on your position, maybe play the next week or 2 weeks. But I think in this case he'll probably have it where he can get out there and play. Just another knock on the defensive end position.
It's true.
For that first game.
I mean, as far as injuries that require surgeries go, it's probably best case scenario. It's the same thing DeMarco Murray did to his hand, which I'm not a doctor, but it's like the metatarsal. It's not your fingers. It's down here.
Mm-hmm.
Had a gnarly scar when he did that, but he didn't miss a game. So I know it's a little bit different because you're using your hands a little bit more to play defensive end. Wrap it in tape. I think, I'm optimistic he can be available for week one in some form or fashion. But you're right. DeMarcus Lawrence is still on PUP. Tyron Crawford's still on PUP. Randy Gregory is MIA. And now Quinn's basically done for the preseason. So more opportunities for the young guys.
Yep. Talk to me about Amari Cooper. He has the heel injury. There were thoughts that maybe he'd be back to practice yesterday. He was not. What are we hearing about his status?
Same, as far as I'm aware. It's like we said, Jason Garrett always says, like, we're hopeful he's coming back, and I feel like when he says that, that means he's not coming back yet. But it's precautionary.
Yeah, at this point, too, it's a lot of the stuff probably that's going on right now is getting ready for this game. to actually prepare to go out and play in a game situation. And I think
You think he's gonna play this one?
and I don't. That's what
No
that's
way.
Okay.
So there's no point
That's
in
what I
rushing him back out.
Right,
here.
that's kind of
Okay,
what I was
okay,
getting
yeah.
to. But yeah, I that's why I don't think that if it was just practice and you're just going, maybe so. But it's like, all right, let's get these other guys. Make sure they know. John V. Johnson's going to be this formation. Does he know where to line up and where to go? So I don't think there's any rush to rush him back.
All right, let's jump into a little blanket coverage. I have a couple comments here. You
Okay,
guys
hold on real quick.
Sure.
Who was it? I think it was yesterday that you said you dreamt about a player.
I dreamt that they'd cut Robert Quinn.
I
Yeah.
was like in bed, so I had a dream about a player last night
been
too.
here too long,
I
AG.
know, but I was like, man, you mentioned about a dream about Robert Quinn, and then yesterday that happened to him. And I
So
was
who
just
did
like,
you have a dream about?
Oh, freaking kicker, Maher.
Oh, no.
It was a nightmare. We were on we started
A
the
literal
season.
nightmare.
Yes, it was bad. We started the season and he kept missing every single kick. I was losing it. It was horrible. It was horrible. I didn't like it.
I can't even imagine what you were doing in the press box. Just like everyone, like, oh my God, if he misses another kick.
Boy.
It sucked, but I don't know. I believe in those that you have like certain dreams, like premonition or whatever, and the fact that you mentioned Robert Quinn and that happened. I don't know.
He missed 2 kicks yesterday.
So let's keep an eye on these dreams that
Yeah,
we're having here. Maybe
gotta
they're
watch out.
giving us some. Nick's not buying it. That look on his
No,
face.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, it happens.
right.
I'm trying to think what kind of weird stuff I dream about.
Yeah, I don't.
Pop
We don't
Tarts.
want to know.
I really don't want to
Yeah.
know. I really don't want to know.
Blanket
right,
coverage.
something.
Let's
like
do some blanket coverage. All right, I got a couple comments here for you guys. You fill in the blank. Comment number 1: both rushers, both pass rushers, your best cornerback, your best offensive lineman, your best running back, your best wide receiver are all missing right now. My level of concern with this many top players out is blank. Dave.
None. I feel no concern about any of that because it's all, to quote the Joker, it's all part of the plan. Like Quinn sucks, but again, as you
Wait. Say that again.
His injury sucks.
You're right. I'm sorry. The Quinn injury
Yeah.
sucks. Sometimes my brain gets out ahead of my mouth.
Right.
The Quinn injury sucks. Robert Quinn is good. But as far there's gonna be an injury that requires somebody going back to Dallas. It just happens, and if that's what the injury is, then they got off lucky. That's a good thing.
Right. This is
So,
good.
Yeah. So I'm not worried about him. I remain convinced that Zeke Elliott is not going to miss any games. Amari Cooper's got a bruised heel, like that. He's fine. DeMarcus Lawrence and Byron, again, it's a little bit concerning, but we've known about both of them since May. This is part of their rehab plan. It's not some kind of curveball. The only thing that really concerns me is that we still don't know if anything's going to happen to Tyrone Crawford in regard to NFL discipline. But other than that, I feel fine.
Nick, level of concern is?
None, and actually it's more of a positive thing when you have players like this, because we've seen guys carted off the field. We've seen Lucky Whitehead roll into Orlando Scandrick out here, and the season was over. That stuff happens and all that, but you don't want it to happen to your key players. And so if you can give me 2 to 4 week injuries, I'm okay with. I'm okay with 2 to 4 week. I actually think it's maybe even better if they are at the level where they don't need a ton of training camp reps. Zach Martin is in that. I don't know about Quinn. He's a veteran, but rush the passer. He knows how to do that here. So I'm not as concerned with some of those because I feel like Dave said, they'll be back.
Give me all the excuses to rest my great players.
There you go.
Amber, level of concern is?
I mean, yeah, I am a little bit concerned. These guys are not, but I'm a little bit. And this is why. We were coming into camp feeling pretty excited about this 2019 Cowboys team. Very young players, everyone, a whole new offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, what he can do, all these exciting things happening. And yeah, I don't want to be disappointed. When you get too excited, then the disappointment the low comes really low. So I'm just concerned about being another year of disappointment because of injuries, not necessarily because of the talent, because I think this is a really good year with what they're doing with the defense, what Kellen Moore could possibly do offensively. So for them to kind of mess up the season because of injuries, then yeah, that's gonna be.
Well, I think we're saying the same thing. I mean, we're just taking it to another level. Like we look at those guys as saying
they'll be fine.
they're not going to be carted off the field. Like
Yeah.
they're not going to have what you're talking about, these major injuries. There's 4 or 5 more guys that probably won't be having that.
But yeah, I think like little things that spark up here and there, and obviously the Cowboys are being very precautionary with all these guys. But for example, Zach Martin, and he's back. Okay, question mark, what's going to happen in the season when he start playing? You know, just little things that kind of pop here and there.
That's the biggest one, probably.
And honestly,
back.
that it's not just that one. That one concerns me a little bit. But then, too, I've seen, and you guys have too, we've seen these scenarios where you hear from the team, oh, it's fine. They'll be fine. They'll be here for the beginning of the season. I just don't, until I see it, particularly with those 2 guys that haven't practiced yet, in Byron Jones and Tank, I'm not totally secure in the fact that that's going to be where it needs to be. And then obviously the Zeke thing is a big question mark. We just don't know what's going to happen with that. So you look at all those, and that means if you just want to isolate those 4, you're talking about your best cornerback, your best pass rusher, you're probably your best player overall as your best running back, and your best offensive lineman. And they've got, in my mind, questions that I think are legitimate going into the season.
They do. The Byron and DeMarcus, like I said, is like, I've already processed all of that. You know, like we came into camp. That is not a new development. And so it is what it is. I haven't seen anything to suggest that they are not on the path that they're supposed to be on. So for the time being, I'll take it as I expect to see both of them at practice at the Ford Center.
I would love to see it. And I kind of hope so. I'm hoping so. There's something in the back of my mind.
And
if
you're
we didn't have
smart
these
to
other
feel
injuries,
that way.
If we didn't have these other injuries, maybe I'd be a little more secure.
Yeah.
But when you start adding in, Zach's got a back, and Zeke's not here because he's holding out for a contract, that's when I start getting even more, like a little bit more concerned about it.
Maybe I'm crazy. Like other than the fact that we have to talk about it for our jobs, like I don't spend any time worrying about the Zeke stuff. Like the other day, somebody asked me how camp was going. I was like, pretty drama-free year. And they were like,
all things considered,
they were like, what are you talking about? Like the running back's not. I was like, oh yeah, but that's gonna be fine. Like that'll work itself out.
Yeah, that's actually funny when you talk to people back home. They're like, oh my God, what's going on with Zeke? Like, and we're like, we've been out here every day. We don't even think about it on a day-to-day basis,
really
other than for the show. All right. Here's the second comment I have for you guys. Injuries create opportunities, as Jason Garrett always says. Blank gets the greatest opportunity from the Quinn injury. Nick.
Joe Jackson. Jackson. I mean, he's drafted. He's supposed to come in here and play, get some reps, and they're going to give him the opportunities to do that. There's a lot of guys. I don't want to mention, because they all could have different names. So I'll just say that one. There are others, but I'll say Joe Jackson.
Amber.
I think at the defensive end position, a guy that I'm excited about is Darion Armstrong.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how he takes the opportunity and shows you even more. He's been showing splashes out here, and that's great. Now another guy is Taco, who has started doing certain things for you where, yeah, it's not to the level because of the expectations, first round pick, blah, blah, blah. But he's starting to do certain things, and that's exciting, I guess, because that now or never, you got to turn it on now. So, but main guy, Dorrance.
You mentioned Darion Armstrong yesterday in the compete period, and that's a period of practice where Cowboys, they come up as a team. Jason will call out 2 guys that he wants to match up one-on-one and in front of the whole team. They got to compete. And Darion Armstrong yesterday called him up with Lyle Collins, against Lyle Collins. First time he beat Lyle. The next 2 times Lyle got him. But what was interesting to me is the fact that Jason called him up to go against Lyle in front of the whole team. That suggests to me, and it's just my opinion, it suggests to me that the coaches are seeing something they really like in Darion Armstrong, and they're trying to see if he's ready to take that next step to now be up there with the starters. And he's probably going to get some opportunities now with Robert Quinn and with Tank out.
And that was before Quinn's injury.
Right.
All right. Who's your guy?
The guy that nobody else wants to talk about, Kerry Hyder.
Yeah.
That's another one that's balling.
I thought about him.
Other than Tank, he really is the only guy on this, as talented as it is, he's the only guy that's really put together like this impressive sack total season. 8 with Detroit 2 years ago. Dorrance has been great. everybody should be hyped about what we've seen from Dorrance Armstrong this camp. Taco is getting some work and actually did some nice things yesterday. He beat Tyron Smith, and he got a sack in team period. But Hyder has been working on that right side, which is where Quinn has been. So that I would assume that means more reps for him. And
Absolutely.
I just think people sleep on him as a veteran who has done it and who I like his odds to be on the team.
Yeah, I love what they've got as far as depth on this defensive line.
Pretty
right now.
crazy.
It's crazy how much talent they've been able to amass on that defensive line. All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to play a little Tell Me More. I got some names I'm going to throw out to you guys. You're going to tell me what you've seen from them out here at training camp. We'll do that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
If you're like me and you love... if you have a thing, then cutting the cord is scary. But then I found out I could switch to DirecTV Now and still get the live sports I love. No satellite needed, no bulky hardware, no annual contract, just...
Get the live sports you love. Try DirecTV Now for $10 a month for 3 months. Visit DirecTVNow.com. DirecTV Now. More for your thing. That's our thing. Use code REALDEAL. Limited time. Price for little package. After 3 months, renews monthly at full price. Currently minimum $40 unless canceled. Prices may change. New subscribers only. Cancel anytime. Content varies by package and may be limited. Restrictions apply.
Do you want the most interesting, up-to-the-minute Dallas Cowboys news straight from the Star in Frisco? How about exclusive and on command? That's right. News and nuggets you can't find anywhere else. With our exclusive Cowboys content on Alexa, you can have all the answers, secrets, stories, and more. What's Stephen Jones thinking during a game? What's Joe Looney's favorite pregame meal? We take your questions to Cowboys players and coaches, and you can hear the answers directly back to you. Just say, Alexa, open Dallas Cowboys.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
While a player could look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
Back to the break.
Welcome back. It's the second segment of the break live in Oxnard, California. Cowboys practice will be taking place this afternoon at 3:30 p.m. At 3 o'clock p.m. That's 3:30 p.m. Pacific. At 1 o'clock Pacific, though, we will be releasing our new documentary, Welcome to Switzerland. Make sure you check that out. I think you guys have all seen it, right?
I haven't.
You have
I'm
not
looking
seen
forward to it.
Nick, you've seen it. I know
I've
you've
seen the first 30 minutes, but then there were some edits and stuff that I haven't really seen all of it.
I know I watched it while I was on vacation, and I thought it was really well done. So I'm looking forward to you guys all seeing it and being able to give us some feedback. Yeah. We got some others coming up, too. I know Nick has one I'm really excited about seeing. It's going to be the final one we do this summer called The Late Hit about Roy Williams, the safety. Really, really good topic. Nick's been selling me on this one for like 3 years, and then finally we were like, yeah, let's do it. So
I'm telling
it's going to be great.
I'm telling you that the thing about that is, and which is interesting because if you were to say what's the one player over 20 years of me being here that I've had some kind of issues with, I would say
number one,
it would be Roy Williams. And so yet we've done this, and there's not been one person that has been more accommodating through the entire process of Deep Blues than Roy Williams. It's been outstanding. So I'm really excited about how it's all going to work together here.
Seems like you guys have kind of developed a little friendship over this.
It was never anything big anyways. It just kind of was.
He didn't like you.
He was one of those guys, and a lot of players are this way too. They just don't really understand what are we doing.
Why are we wearing this
exactly.
and still saying that they suck?
And
right?
you're on the same.
And by this,
charter.
we're in the Star.
We're in the Cowboy Star. Yeah.
We're on the charters and on the buses, specifically on the buses, where it's just like, what are you doing? Right. And then you guys just said that I wasn't playing that well.
Right.
Well, you weren't. But you know what I mean? It's one of those things.
Yeah.
It's almost
it's
like family. It's like your mom's not supposed to say that you're not doing very good.
It's a fun line to walk every day.
But the interesting part is, and what this happens a lot, I found in my years, the guys then retire, and then they see you, and they're like, "Hey, man, what's up?" And it's all of a sudden, it's like all's forgotten. It's all good now. Now I'm not having to deal with that anymore. It's all good now.
Especially half of them are trying to break into the media. And
well, that
right,
also
so,
helps, right?
Yeah.
That also helps. All right, so let's play a little game here. I got a game called Tell Me More. I've been getting some tweets about just different names of guys that are, I would say, not really well, one or two of them are kind of top-line guys, but they're just guys we haven't mentioned a lot. We talk about a lot of different names on the show. These are guys we haven't mentioned a lot. So I'm going to go around. I want you guys to tell me what you've seen from these guys, and let's give people kind of an update on a few lesser-known players or players that are not talked about as much. Let's start with the running back, Jordan Chun. What are you guys hearing?
Hearing
and seeing.
Yeah, seeing that he is actually getting a lot more reps, but he seems like a guy that he's the biggest of the backs. And
Absolutely.
Is that because of the number?
No, he's a bulky guy.
Yeah,
he's 46 can make you look really big.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that. But he's 200. I think he's 220, 230.
Oh,
and he's physical, and he finishes runs like that. So he's made a big jump, I think, from year 1 to year 2, all on the practice squad last year. So, like I said the other day, I think Jameis Olawale was supposed to be kind of a fallback plan to be a isolated runner in those situations. And I think Chun is getting those reps.
And he's looked good doing them, too. Physical.
Is that a guy you think at this point has an opportunity to maybe make this team ever?
Well, I know he's a guy that has been mentioned by Will McClay, Stephen Jones. They've mentioned his name. And when you got this group of guys and other guys that were drafted, the fact that you're being mentioned by those people means something because you tend to get lost in the group. And to me, yes, he's been taking advantage of his opportunities out here. But what are you?
No, keep going. I'm sorry. I was gonna compare him to a Hall of Famer, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know what?
Do
you know what Terrell Davis's breakout moment was in his career?
It was a special teams play. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Tokyo runs down and just blasted some guy.
Yeah.
That's what he's going to have to do. He's built like a linebacker. Go down there and show you can contribute on that. Then you'll get opportunities to be in the game and maybe run and all that kind of stuff. But it's a good opportunity for him to actually go down and be like a special teams linebacker type guy.
It's just hard. It's hard for me to envision that. Like on a team, like if we assume Ezekiel Elliott will be here.
How do you make the team?
It's hard. It's hard.
It's got to be special teams like Nick says, right?
Even then, with these guys that you got on here.
Well, Darius Jackson.
So
that's it. Be better than them.
I think Alfred Morris is the wrench in that plan. Like, and they're not tied to him like they have to keep him. But you're talking about a 2-time Pro Bowler, guy who's been here for a couple years. He is the only one on this team with Zeke not here who has any kind of extensive experience playing in the NFL. And I think if there's going to be a backup, as in your main back if Zeke isn't there, whether it's injury or holdout or whatever, I lean toward Alfred Morris. And so he's going to have to be a lot better. It is worth mentioning, Alfred Morris isn't a big special teams guy. So if Chun or Weber can do a ton on special teams in addition to that, I guess it's possible. But I keep going back. The day they drafted Pollard and Weber, Stephen Jones was like, yeah, it'd be tough for Weber or any of those other guys to even get a jersey because Pollard can do this and we've got Jameis who can do that. I was like, wow, thanks for telling me your breakdown for participation here in May, Stephen. So thinking about that, knowing how they want to use that, it's hard for me to imagine how any of those guys really makes it.
I feel like the guy that brings Zeke to the, if Zeke were to sign or, come to camp, I think the guy that drives him here is the guy that's driving Alfred Morris back to LAX.
Yeah. No, and
that's what I think.
You should not assume Alfred Morris is going to make this team, but I think we said it already, and you can kind of hear the whispers. It left an impact on them what C.J. Anderson did to them in the playoffs, and I think they see Alfred Morris in a similar vein.
I will also say this, and you can take it as just kind of lip service, but Jerry mentioned the fact that last year they were a little bit not dismayed, but they weren't very happy with the fact that they lost out on re-signing him last year, and he ended up with the 49ers. They see him as a guy that can be a nice number 2, a nice backup in the event your guy gets hurt. So I get it, but at least from what, and honestly, I think they always had plans that they were going to bring him in. I think it got to a point where
Yeah.
he was going to go down there
I
and
think-
sign with New Orleans, and
I
they were
think
like,
they
"Oh,
got
we gotta wait. We can't wait on this."
They got scared.
Right, and I think they figured in camp, let's give these young guys more of an opportunity, but they didn't want to lose him, and that forced their hand. That also says to me they really want him on the team.
Never rule out anything, but I think the deck is stacked against Darius, Chun, and Weber, just in terms of, like, how do you justify this roster spot?
I actually think coming into camp, I was thinking Darius had a good shot. I think he's probably the guy that I think has one of the worst shots, because when you really think about it, like if you're thinking Alfred Morris is going to be your primary backup, obviously Pollard plays the role that he does, then you probably think, hey, if we like what we're seeing from Chun or we like what we're seeing from Weber, we keep one of those guys as a younger back. It kind of pushes Darius out of the door. So I think he's the one that to me is in the most precarious situation.
What has Alfred done so far here?
Really not a lot.
Not a lot.
But that's
But he
by-
doesn't have to.
No, I
Yeah.
get it. Yes, he's been here before 2
Yeah.
years, and he's shown all that. But I guess my expectations with him coming back in, that we would be talking a little more about him, and and
Well,
I don't know.
here-
Obviously,
well-
we're talking about the other guys, but
This is a thing, and, the NFL being a meritocracy, it's true, but there's a lot of myth in that too. And if you look at what Alfred Morris is doing, they're slowly ramping him up and easing him in, because they know they don't need to do that to him, because they're like, we got him. Like, we can preserve him.
We want him on week 14.
Are we seeing
if
him
Dak
in the
if Zeke
preseason?
should go down, huh?
Are we
Alfred?
seeing him in the preseason?
We'll see him.
I definitely think he's going to play at some point.
I think so, yeah.
A little bit.
All right, wide receiver Jalen Guyton. Nick, what have you seen from him?
He has flashed a few things every now and again. This isn't really fair, because I kind of was told yesterday that he is not. I was told yesterday that when we did our receiver rankings, and we put him 8th out of 11, and I was told he was closer to 11. So,
Who told you this?
somebody that knows more than me about it and has watched him more. So I just thought, well, I thought, that this is a guy they liked. So we didn't, and again, though, we didn't rank them based off of what they're doing out here, because Noah Brown is ranked 5th. We rank them based off of where they are. So and I still like it, because if he goes out, Guyton has a 52-yard touchdown catch in the third quarter, we're going to be talking about him, and he jumps right back into the mix. So he hasn't been as good as some of the others, but they like him, and he's a big guy that can run. So
if my life was on the line and I needed somebody to run a go route and score a touchdown for me, he'd be among the guys out here. He'd be pretty close to the top of my list, maybe even the top. His speed is no joke, but he just doesn't look very polished. Usually when I watch the receivers, Sanjay Lal's usually yelling at him about something. So I think classic for an undrafted free agent rookie receiver. Like, a lot of talent, not a lot of polish. Practice squad.
Would be great for him.
Yeah.
I think he's a fast guy, but so are all these other
they
receivers.
got a lot of speed with those younger
they're
guys.
speedy, but he's a guy I definitely, to be honest, I haven't seen him much. Like, I don't notice too much from him.
I noticed him because I think it's Terrence Williams.
But even then,
I actually think it's Terry Glenn. That's going to take you back, but that's what I keep thinking when I see him, because he kind of has that kind of build to me anyway, the way he looks when he's out there. But anyway, go ahead.
He catches a ball 40 yards downfield like once per practice, but that's like all he does.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess I miss it every time because I don't really see him much.
All right, let's go on. Tight end, Blake Jarwin.
Sorry, I just thought of something when you said Terry Glenn. I was thinking about our list that we're working on with the top players. Yeah, we have Kelvin Martin at number 83.
I think you might want to rethink
Oh, we're
that
definitely going to rethink that.
I think you might want to rethink that.
But by the way, Dave actually helped us settle a debate yesterday. We're working on a project here.
So who won?
We could do a whole show on that.
We really could, and actually we will.
We're working on a
I'm waiting for
project.
you guys to finish the thing and put it together, and then we will do a show
Because Dave
on that,
had a
'cause that's
good
really
point.
great
He
topic.
said we should be filming this. It was Mickey and Brian.
I thought
and Dave.
Mickey and Brian were going to fight each other.
How's that any different?
Different
Yeah.
players.
It's a daily occurrence
But
around
Dave went to the sometimes like in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, you have to just poll the audience to help.
Yeah.
And 21, it was like, who's the best 21 in Cowboys history? And, I mean, I was kind of wondering why this was even a debate. But the fans came in and said.
What did they say?
Deion won in a landslide.
Okay. And I was like, why are you guys even arguing this? Deion Sanders is Deion Sanders.
As we stand right
now.
The
best cornerback in the history of the NFL. And you had him on your team.
We're going off the rails here, but there's just a subsect of Cowboys fans who don't think you counted unless you played 15 years here.
No,
right.
I don't get it.
And anyway, we'll say that for the show.
It's going to be it's fun, and it's really been a great project that we were working on. So I don't know when we're going to roll it out pretty soon here.
All right, tight end Blake Jarwin.
I thought you said Dalton Schultz in the pre-pre-production meeting.
I did. I said both.
Okay, cool. Because
I actually sent you. I showed you the list.
I only saw Dalton. I'm sorry.
No, I want to talk about. And as a matter of fact, if you want to just talk about both of them together, you can. Well, but I have both of them.
I guess the reason I even say it, Jarwin has been a pretty steady talking point here.
Has he?
I think so. I mean, and I can hit them both in one thing is that I think a lot of people lump them together because they're both young. They kind of came in at the same time. They have similar builds and all that. They're both white. Thank you, Nick. But
seriously,
it's not. I don't view it as a competition, really.
They're both making the team.
Well, of course, they're both making the team, and Jarwin is just very clearly to me a step or two or three above Schultz, just in terms of his all-around game.
Yeah,
he is always. Witten's ahead of him, but he is always the first guy in when they do 12 personnel. He gets more run with the first team. When Witten takes his vet day, Jarwin's the one. He looks athletic. He had a really nice touchdown catch from Dak.
Really impressed with him.
I am so excited at the amount of stuff they are doing in the seams. I feel like that has been something that has been lacking from the Cowboys offense forever. And Jarwin's doing it. Randall Cobb's doing it. So he looks really good. Schultz, ironically, me and Brian were talking yesterday about how, he needs to develop as a receiver, and then he went out and caught a touchdown pass in 7-on-7 too.
Yep.
He looks bigger and stronger. He looks a little more well-rounded, but I just think the pecking order is pretty firmly established that he's 3.
Have you guys noticed anything with regards to those two guys and their abilities to block? Because that was probably the biggest knock on the tight end as a group last year. Have you seen anything from them that suggests that maybe they've improved in that area?
I mean, it's really tough to see. There's just a couple of goal line periods and all that, but the fact that they were out there in the goal line, I think we're going to see 13 personnel quite a bit. I mean, I don't love it, but
they love it.
They love it, and
yeah.
so
if that gaining half a yard,
if that happens, then obviously they'll have the confidence that they can be blocking. But I think Schultz is very similar to me as a Jeff Swaim, a guy that had a first year you kind of got a little better, and then by the third or fourth year he's going to be, and he's supposed to be better than that. He's a 4th round pick, from Stanford, so you should be able to pick it up quickly.
Yeah,
he looks better. I don't know what that means. I don't know what his role is going to be. I hope to God they don't run a lot of 13 personnel, but he does. I know.
Sure, your artists. That's what they do.
You're right. I mean, they're tight ends, they're big guys, but they're not they're not massive, bulky dudes. I hope Kellen Moore embraces the tight end as more of a receiving threat than a blocking one, but that might be wishful thinking.
I'm excited about Blake, if you care to know. We're about to move on, but
I
if you care to know.
I was about to say, Amber, what do you think?
I see you, Derek. No, but, starting from last year, actually, when Swaim went out with the injury and then they started giving Blake more opportunities, I think you started to see his growth even by the end of what was that last game where he actually shined a lot, where he was getting so many completions with Dak. You saw that growth, and to me, every time you see growth, that's exciting. So going into this year, I think he has taken advantage of that and really keeps showing it in camp. So I feel good about that position with him there now. As far as making flashy plays all the time, I don't think that's necessarily going to be him, but he would be a guy that I think you can at least rely on certain situations.
All right, we're going to take our final break. When we come back, I want to talk about the starting offensive lineman that we've talked the least about here during training camp, Lyle Collins. We'll do that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
While a player can look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
It's time for Tailgate with the OtterBox boys.
OtterBox? The makers of those crazy protective phone cases?
The one and only. They're also wild about protecting parking lot parties from sad drinks. It's why they made elevation tumblers.
Rumor around the crock pot is they're made from stainless steel with a copper lining to keep temps hot or cold.
True, they even come in 7 different sizes, up to 64 ounce, the growler.
I like how OtterBox drinks. Thinks.
And that's been Tailgating with the OtterBox boys. Check out all the colors and sizes of their elevation tumblers at otterbox.com.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Playmaker, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The Playmaker includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized Intense Therapy lip balm and a Cowboys can cooler. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word Cowboys. The Jack Black Playmaker, $10, free shipping.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
A man's Stetson doesn't just protect him from life's elements. It projects an unstoppable and legendary spirit, just like the men wearing silver and navy on the field every Sunday. Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. They are still the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find Stetson hats in the Pro Shop or at Stetson.com today.
Back to the break.
Welcome back. This is the final segment of the break from Oxnard, California. We're talking about some players that you haven't heard a lot about on this show throughout training camp. It's a game we call Tell Me More. We've gone through an extensive list so far. We're going to talk next about Lyle Collins.
Shout out to the draft show real quick, because all my draft show people know Tell Me More is our segment. But
is it?
Yeah, it's fine.
I didn't know.
It's not a super original idea.
Did you trademark that?
I didn't
Oh.
trade.
Too bad.
And it's not yours.
Then it's not yours. Absolutely. All right, let's go with Lyle Collins. Talk to me about the offensive tackle. What has he been doing out here?
He got beat by Darion Thompson yesterday, and he came back and won the other two battles.
Or?
I didn't know that until you said it on the show, because I was kind of getting blocked by the whole team, so I didn't see that rep. But
And he won impressively those other 2 times. It was kind of like, oh, is that what we're doing? Okay.
I think Lyle Collins is victimized by the talent that he is surrounded by.
Mark
because
Colombo is who he is.
Although people forget, he would have been a first-round pick.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
People forget that, I think.
But I think –
would he have been a bust? Not a bust.
No chance. No way.
Would he have been a disappointment?
Probably.
I don't think a disappointment. I think
if
he would have been kind of
10th overall.
If he had been a top 10 pick his career to this point, you would probably consider him a disappointment.
Really?
He hasn't been to a Pro Bowl. And I mean that's the standard
you can't
around
take
here.
The whole
But
Cowboys
would he have
offensive
been?
line, though. I mean, you can't take them all.
I mean, there's something to be said for having the name cachet as a first-round pick. I mean, yeah, that probably matters. I'm not trying to call Lyle Collins a disappointment
No,
anyway.
I'm
My
not
point
either.
is, Lyle Collins shares a line with 2 guys who will have good cases to make the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
And we have
one that I think is probably already close to being in.
Zach?
Frederick?
Yeah.
I mean, just
Well,
5 years and
3
5
guys,
All-Pros.
really,
like,
depending on what Frederick does.
That's amazing, you know.
I've been watching from the time I got here. Tyron Smith looked terrible the first time I got here because DeMarcus Ware just abused him for a summer.
Yeah.
And ever since then, it's just been effortless dominance. So, like, my idea of a left tackle is just this athletic super freak who it is amazing when he gets beaten. So when you compare Lyle to that, you're like, oh, he's not that good. In reality, he's pretty damn good. He's probably not going to make it to the Hall of Fame. That just is what it is. But he's a solid starter.
Yeah.
He gets beaten. He's definitely not perfect, but he is above average. I mean, most teams in the NFL, other than like the Eagles and the Chiefs would be thrilled to have him at right tackle.
That's exactly right. And that's why I say I don't think he's a disappointment.
No.
Like, his play is not a disappointment.
He is an above-average right tackle, and I think he will be paid like one in the offseason.
And rightfully so.
This has worked out well for him because of what happened, and he was able to join the Cowboys in a very talented line. But my point is that if he was drafted that high, you don't play him obviously you don't play him at right tackle, you play him at left tackle, and then would he have been able to, that's where he might have been a disappointment a little bit. But maybe he flourishes, though.
I was going to say, maybe he's better at left tackle.
Then again, he's been a guard. He's been a right tackle. He's been back and forth. I mean, what is he? If he was drafted 10th overall, he would have a different body type than he has now. He would be a lot leaner. He would be playing on that left side to justify the $10, $20 million contract that he received, and I think he would probably be better.
I do wonder, though. I know the left tackle will always be important because it's the blind side of most NFL quarterbacks, but it seems like that doesn't matter as much as it used to. For the same reason, half of the best ends in the league play left end now.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I'll never forget, in 17, poor Lyle, his first season out there, he had to play Vaughn, he had to play Mack, he always has to play Kerrigan, which, by the way, he once told me, he was like, yeah, Mack's great, Mack's awesome, Vaughn is tough, they're all really good, but the toughest guy I deal with year in, year out is Kerrigan.
That doesn't surprise me. Kerrigan's a really good player.
He's not, and he's he's really talented, he's really good, and he's relentless. He plays every rep of every game as though it's his last always, and it's a nightmare. And I was like, wow, I wouldn't have guessed that because, Mack and Vaughn get all the headlines. Yeah. So it's hard over there. And, Lane Johnson, at this point in his career, is a better player than Jason Peters, but he plays right tackle because it's important too. So I don't know how much I buy that, but if Lyle Collins had been a first-round pick, his resume right now, you would consider it disappointing. That's harsh, but I think it's true.
Yeah, I just think about how he's played. He's had some moments that have been not so great, but I think he's played pretty well in a lot of moments. So I think from that being said, again, I wouldn't be disappointed. Now, is he on the level with those other guys? I would say this. If he was drafted 10th overall, like Nick said, he probably is on another team, and he's probably the best offensive lineman on that team, which means that he probably, in my opinion, gets a different reputation because all offensive linemen are going to get beat from time to time.
Sure.
He has a different reputation, and maybe that gets him to a Pro Bowl, and so it's not the same thing.
All I know is the Dallas Cowboys, and let's go back to 2010. The first-round pick is the leading touchdown receiver in team history. 2011 is a five-time All-Pro left tackle who might be going to the Hall of Fame. Okay, 12 wasn't so good. 13 is a perennial All-Pro. 14's going to the Hall of Fame. 15's an All-Pro. 16's an All-Pro. You get my point.
However,
the standard here for a first-round pick is absurd.
Up until last year, you couldn't say that about the cornerback, right?
Sure.
So my point is, you keep letting this thing develop.
His career's not over.
Keep letting this thing develop.
Yeah.
I think what we've seen so far, to me, is, again, not a disappointment. You want him to be a little bit better, but that's the nature of all these guys. You want him to get a little bit better every year.
Not remotely disappointing.
Yeah.
And
so you're pleased with the positions change?
What do you mean?
When they switch him to this position.
Because
remember when we
should he be?
Are we going to sign him?
Oh no.
No,
it's not. But not because he's not
can't pay
good.
Everybody. That's the problem.
I know.
The dude in New England. I keep going back to Trent Brown. Lyle Collins is just as good as Trent Brown, and Trent Brown got $70 million.
They can't pay everybody.
They can't afford him.
Yeah.
I said this about Terrence Williams, and I was wrong, but Lyle Collins is a much better player than Terrence Williams at a much more important position. So I really don't think I'm going to be wrong this time.
And he deserves to get paid. If he plays this year like he's been playing, or even better, he's going to deserve to get paid, and the Cowboys just can't pay everybody. I don't think. Maybe they can figure it out. I just don't think they can pay everybody.
There are people who think that they should try to trade him to upgrade other parts because the offensive line is so talented, and I just think
give me the compensatory. I'll take that.
No, give me the compensatory and give me the very, very good right tackle who can help me compete this season because I'm not ready to move Connor Williams out there and deal with all that now.
I'm with you. All right, safety Darion Thompson. What have you seen?
Not much, but that doesn't mean he hasn't been doing things. He plays with the twos, right?
Well, at the beginning of camp, he was running with the ones while Xavier was out. But, he's been running with the twos.
Classic case of the guy that the coaching staff likes a lot more than us. And I'm not saying we don't like him, but we're like, well, yeah, what's he do? I feel pretty confident if you pulled Chris Richard or Keith O'Quinn aside, they'd be like, this guy's awesome. Like, he gets it. He does this. He does that. And it's the disconnect between, we see a lot and we have informed opinions, but we don't really know, in terms of like what they're asking these guys to do, how many teams they can play on. I feel good about his odds of making the team. I saw him make a nice play in coverage the other day, and I think he can provide something on special teams.
And the thing about the safety position, I think, out here, in a lot of ways, what the coaches probably evaluate is different than what we see because they're looking at how often is he in the right place where he's supposed to be so that if it's a live game, he makes the play, right? Because you can't blow somebody up. You can't hit him. You can't necessarily make the tackle out here. But they're trying to see is he making the right reads? Is he getting himself in the right position? Is he where he should be? And I think from the things I've kind of seen, I think they're probably pretty happy with that right now based upon what they've seen from him so far through camp.
I thought John Kitna made a great point yesterday. He was talking to reporters. He was like, the media is great. Like, y'all bring so many people to the game. You do this, you do that. But, like, in this day and age where y'all can break down every single throw Dak makes, like, you got people losing their minds about training camp throws where, you don't know what we're telling them to do. Right. Like, the point might be to be doing something goofy to see what happens. Yeah. Like,
we want to try this throw. Let's see how it works.
You just don't know.
This is where you try it.
And so, like I said, we can learn a lot with how much we're out here, but we'll never know the whole story.
That's why I remember a preseason game a few years back. Several years. Parcells was here, and it was like 3rd and 4 or 3rd and 5 from the 35-yard line, and they ran the ball right up the middle, and it was just like a 1 or 2 yard gain, and it was like, what was that? And Parcells later said, he was like, I don't care about them getting the first down. I want to see if Billy Cundiff can make a 51-yard field goal. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see if we get down and score that. I've seen all that. I want to see him kick a 51-yard field goal. Yep. So I made a 51-yard field goal. Yep. And so it's things like you're saying. He goes. He also said things like, like we don't need. We don't need to see Dak, like you need to see him. You're trying to compare him to game situations, and we, like you said, we want him throwing the ball over here to create this and that. So,
Amber, you think Darian Thompson has a legitimate shot to make this team at safety?
I was about to ask you guys, what is his experience again?
He's actually he's a pretty hefty draft pick. Like, I want to say he was a second or third by the New York Giants. Yeah, it was.
What year was
3 or 4 years ago at this point. Like, he kicked around. He actually had a season as a starter. Like, he started a lot of games for them his either rookie or second year. Sorry, I'm trying to pull it up on him.
So knowing that, shouldn't he be a little further along as far as the way he's playing?
He was also let go by the Giants, right?
2016 draft pick. Yeah, I
think so.
He was a high draft pick, but
71st overall pick, 3rd round, New York Giants, 16. Started all 16 games in 17. Didn't do anything particularly special, and they let him go after that. So, yeah, disappointing stint with them. Obviously has the talent to be a top 100 pick. I don't know.
Drafted ahead of Dak.
Yeah.
My only hope is in Chris Richard and what he can do. We always talk about him, and he's proven to be a great coach, and he's proven that he can develop guys. So I'm just hoping Chris Richard is able to help out these safeties to get to where they need to be ready for the season and see who makes it out.
Yeah, I think they like Darian Thompson. I think he's a guy that you should keep your eye on. I think he's a guy that makes this team, and I think they actually really like him. So we'll see. Let's turn to the final guy on the list. Let's start with you, Amber. What do you think about punter Chris Jones? What has he done out here?
You know what? It's funny. Well, not really, but I feel that after Dan Bailey left, a part of him kind of left too.
Wow. I see where you're going with that.
Honestly, the reason why I laugh is because I kind of thought the same thing. Like, I was like, he seems to have been better when Dan was here.
Dan Bailey was here.
Yeah.
That's
interesting.
Dan's departure took away I don't know,
took
but
his soul.
took something away. That's his buddy. But no, we saw a little decline last year, and I know he's a guy you've talked about a lot, Dave, and you've praised him a lot, and that is a position that me personally, I don't necessarily notice that much or pay that much attention to until last year when I started noticing those changes. I'm like, oh, okay, something seems a little off here. So right now, what I've seen so far, I mean, I don't really know how to feel. I'm ready for a real game to see how it plays out, but as of right now, I really don't necessarily have a full evaluation on him.
I'll tell you this. It is a hard position to evaluate from field level. That's one thing I've learned is
that's true.
He's standing back there. He booms the kick. And, I mean, unless it's a terrible shank, which he's maybe had one shank this whole time, you're just like, well, I think that went about 40 yards, but I don't really have the level of sight to tell exactly what the yardage was unless he just kicks the bejesus out of it, which he's done.
He's done that a few
times. He has done that a couple times where, like, Reggie Davis is on the 20 and all of a sudden he's running back to the goal line. He's done that 2 or 3 times. Yesterday he had a really nice one. It was like vintage Chris Jones. It bounced on, like, the 8 and just bounced right out of bounds. I was like, yes, do that every
Chris,
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was driving that train. He should have made the Pro Bowl in 2016.
Yeah.
Last year was a dip. He didn't down as many punts inside the 20. He gave up way more. I think it was 16 that he gave up like 8 return yards the entire season. It was incredible.
Something crazy, yeah.
And that just wasn't the case last year. So he looks fine. It's hard to gauge when you're standing on the field like that, but he looks solid, I guess.
What are you seeing, Nick?
His big, well, like they said, it's really tough to see that right now. And what's tricky about punters is that you got about a 4-yard window of having a good punt or a bad punt. If you're at the midfield, and those are the critical ones, is the midfield punt. It's like, you know what, we could go for it or we need to pin them back. You need to get the ball about the 8 or 9 yard line. And that's where the returner's like, I better fair catch this. But if it goes to the 5, they're going to let it go and it probably will bounce in. If it goes a little bit shorter, then you're catching it at the 11 or 12, you may return it, and it's not really pinning them back so much. So it's not as easy as it sounds. I mean, with that knuckleball kick, it needs to go at like the 8 or 9 yard line every time. Just fair catch it at the 8 or 9, and now we're talking about a different set of plays that the offense calls. So it's an important position. I don't think he did it as well as he did last year, so as he has in previous years. So maybe that's something that they're working on. But also, let's not forget, I know people think it's nothing, but he's a really good holder. And that's important.
Mm-hmm.
The whole operation,
the whole thing,
it all matters.
Understanding it, where LP's going to bring it, how to put it down. We've never really seen any issues there.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's ever been any issues holding in any NFL game for the Cowboys. Have they ever had?
Why do you have to bring that up?
It happens from time to time. All right, we appreciate you guys joining us. We are back tomorrow on normal time. Sorry we had a little late start today. We'll be back on time tomorrow. Until then, for Nick Eatman, Dave Hellman, Amber Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!